I've attended Secret Cinemas, Guardians of the Galaxy, Gathering of the Clans, and here's my full review, breakdown, and things that you don't want to miss on your visit. Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe, and all of those things. All support this channel is very much appreciated. And as you can probably tell, I have now attended Secret Cinemas, Guardians of the Galaxy live immersive experience, and these are my thoughts, my reviews, my things that you don't want to miss. So there are loads of spoilers ahead, so if you've not attended the event yet and you want to go in completely spoiler free, then this video is not for you. If you have attended, then I'd be really interested to see what your experience was like compared to mine. But yeah, so I'm going to break this down in a few different ways. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so straight away, I do want to say a huge thank you to Secret Cinema for, of course, sending me along to the event. Now, just because they did send me along to the event, have no fear, I'm going to be completely honest with my review here, because at the end of the day, there's no point in me saying that things were a certain way if they weren't, because that's not going to benefit anyone. However, with that said, the event in itself was absolutely out of this world. Excuse the pun. So let's start with my kind of review of the event in itself. You meet up at Wembley Park Station and they kind of direct you off in the right direction. So you've not really got any idea exactly where the event and the film is taking place. And that's pretty standard of Secret Cinema. They never tell you the exact location. And me personally, I found it a little bit awkward this time because I did decide to drive there instead of get the train. Only reason being is that to get the train, there was a few different stops and I wasn't sure about a particular line as well, whether there was going to be rail replacement. So I thought it's easy enough for me to drive there, so I'm going to drive there. With that said, when I actually got there, the parking situation wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, because yes, there's lots of parking around Wembley Stadium, but we had to meet at Wembley Park Station, and in that particular area, the parking isn't great. Now, they do state on their website that there is no parking at the venue, so they do make that clear at the beginning. But I did know, because it was in Wembley Park, I knew that there was, parking around. So we did park, and then we had to have quite a walk. We had about a 15-minute walk to get to Wembley Park Station. Once we were there, they directed us back the way that we had already walked. And we kind of got to almost to the stadium, and there was somebody there with a sign that was quite subtle, and if you weren't a part of the Secret Cinema, you wouldn't necessarily notice it. But one thing that was quite obvious is there was a whole sea of colours and lots of people kind of dressed up as Ravengers walking in the same direction. So the locals to the area have probably become quite accustomed to this over the last few weeks, because I think it's been going for about 7 weeks now, if I'm right. But yeah, so we followed the crowd and we followed the signs, and then there was this really weird little bit where we kind of got herded into like this gated area, and we thought we were entering it, but we kind of went around the gates and then came out the way we came in. So I'm assuming this was only for crowd control. We then walked down a little bit further and we got to the entrance of what was the experience. Now, I must admit, it was very cleverly hidden. You could have walked past this and not known what was going on. But if you were local to the area and you were kind of a little bit savvy, you'd probably notice things through the fences and stuff. But it was very well hidden, so I've got to give them 10 out of 10 for that. It really was kind of a secret location. And even if I'd been walking around in the area, I wouldn't necessarily have found where it was. Once we'd gone through the kind of official doors, this part was outside, and we were herded through into the kind of cloakroom area and the checking in area. And I must admit, this bit was very, very well managed, and we were through that very quickly. Me and my friend had premium passes courtesy of Secret Cinema, so we went down to one side where you got the premium pass, and they gave you an envelope, and in this envelope was an extra mission. There was a bonus mission inside. They gave you a big badge as well, and I should have really brought it for the sake of the video, but it's with my costume. I'll get onto costumes in a minute. But you had to wear that, and the way that they kind of coined it was that it showed that you'd been through a lot, and that it was your medal, and that you should wear it with pride. And because of it, there were certain things that it entitled you to. So there was queue skips in queue jumps in particular bars and food areas. And then because of the premium pass, we also got some drinks vouchers and some food voucher. And we also got the cloakroom. Now, as soon as we had got our envelopes, we got to the mobile phone part where they take your mobile phone away. And I was a little bit anxious about this, because I know I've been to Secret Cinema before, and I know that they do this, and I think it's a really good thing. It's a really, really nice touch, because it's really kind of quite refreshing to be a part of something where everybody's not glued to their screen or holding phones up to film and take videos. So 10 out of 10 again for Secret Cinema for sticking to this. But for people like myself who wanted to get some pictures and videos, I was kind of wondering when I could do that, but there was a time to do that, and I will tell you that in my hints and tips section of this video. So we went through there, and then once we were through that gate, we had submitted our phones. We then chose to put them in the cloakroom because that was something else that we got as part of the premium pass, is you got an actual cloakroom instead of a locker or having to keep things on you. And then we went through to the kind of the jump zone, and it was very reminiscent of the kind of the Disney parks and the Universal Studios kind of rides where you kind of get ushered in and you watch something on a video and then you go through to the actual experience. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happens in that part because I don't want to give any real spoilers away about that bit, and they're quite secretive about what goes on in that bit. It's not huge, but it does make a big difference to the experience. Once you go through those doors, you are in Contraxia, one of the drinking holes for the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's a location that you will be familiar with if you're familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 film. It's essentially like their Vegas planet, if you like. It's a lot of neon. It's where the kind of pleasure androids, should we call them, are the yellow robots that we see Yondu with. There's bars, there's eateries and all that kind of stuff. And I must admit, from the minute you walk in, the action is taking place. Again, check out my kind of hints and tips towards the end of this, and I'll tell you what you should look out for. That's a very cool world. There's kind of lots going on. It's in like a circular location, so you won't necessarily miss anything if you kind of just walk around the edges. You'll see everything there is to see and on offer there as well. And that's also where the toilets are. There was toilets, and they do recommend that you go and find your clan leader as soon as possible. Now, to the left hand side of the room is the jump to another location, which is Nowhere. And Nowhere again is another kind of drinking place. It's another kind of low rundown place. This one is not as glamorous, should we say. It's a lot dirtier, it's a lot darker, but there was eateries and stuff, but this is where a lot of the clan leaders were. And we went and met our clan leader. We were part of the Flaming Riders, and our clan leader's name, it really escapes me. Why can I not remember his name? He was awesome. He was really cool. He was this great big dude, long dreadlocks, fantastic accent. He was really into the part. His presence was fantastic. Now, I can't speak for any of the other clan leaders because we didn't interact with any of them because they were the other clan leaders. But our clan leader was awesome. He was fully engaged in the role and really made you feel like a part of the experience. Now, me and my friend really went to town with our costumes, and again, I'll get onto costumes in a bit, but we really went to town in the costumes, and he was picking up on elements of our costume and our hair and our styles and everything, and just really jumping into it. And he was kind of giving us some information about what to do and where to go, and the whole concept of the experience is earning credits. So the idea is gathering in the clans is like a clan face-off, if you like, to see which of the 6 clans are the best. Now, the 6 clans, as I've spoken about in previous videos, are the Atomic Dreamers, the Cosmic Seekers, the Galactic Spanners, the Astral Queens, the Dark Star Bandits, and of course the Flaming Riders as well. And there's these huge scoreboards up everywhere that kind of shows where the clans are on the leaderboard and who's in the lead and stuff. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this scoring works, because as you're earning credits, I can see the characters inputting them on a computer. So it's kind of going to a main database, but there was no real kind of, it showed the scoring as we went along, but I'm not 100% sure how it was kept on top of, because I'm sure our clan was in the lead quite a few times, but we were right down on the leaderboard, which surprised me. But maybe that's just the competitive part in me. But either way, it was really cool, and it made you kind of jump into it. Now, they put a lot of emphasis on trading, and they do tell you all about that going into it, and say about bringing CDs, bringing figurines and all that kind of stuff. So me and my friend took a handful of stuff. We didn't take any CDs, but we did take a load of figurines, and there was loads of different places to trade these. And what they do say is that you can trade these with anyone that's out there. So you can, you know, if there's a character there, if there's one of the actors playing a part, try to get a trade and try to kind of like, you know, basically upscale what you're getting and then get the most credits for your team. Now, there are characters from the movies walking around as well. Most notably, there was Yondu, there was the Collector, there was Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Kraglin was there as well, and a couple of others. So there was all your clan leaders, there was these characters from the film, and then there was a handful of other characters as well. So as I said, there was Nova Corps there was some of the yellow android robots on Contraxia, there was the pink coloured girls that are the collector's assistants, as well as a handful of other characters kind of doing stuff. And they all had like a unique element to them. So it was really cool and it was really immersive. To put it into perspective, we were queuing up for a trade with one of the like the traders. It was like a little stall that was set up, and the guy was chatting away, and he was awesome, and he was commenting on like my jacket and my friend's hair and all that kind of stuff, really interacting, and he just was fully engaged in the part. And then somebody came up and tried to trade a CD with him, and there was a lot of chat going on. And then he offered 2,000 units for this CD. But then when he turned around to put it in the computer, the guy walked off with the CD thinking he had been smart. Now, me being me, I was like, that's 2,000 units that I want. So I said to him, I was like, my friend, like, you just gave him 2,000 units and he's tricked you. Which then set him off in this whole kind of like, no one tricks me and all this kind of stuff, in this accent he had on. That. And so in the end, he turned around and gave me the units that he was going to give this person for actually like kind of siding with him, if that makes sense. So I was like, yeah, that's a win. And at that point, Yondu came up and I was like, Yondu. And he kind of fully in character was like, yeah, that's my name. Like, don't wear it out. Like, what you, like, who's asking? All that kind of stuff. So I just kind of fanboyed a little bit. And I was like, my friend, I've heard like your name is known around the galaxy, like you. And obviously because of Yondu's character, he kind of bought into that kind of that element, and he really kind of brought up, and he was like, what you guys got to trade and that kind of stuff. My friend had this weird little key ring, and he was like, oh yeah, I want this, blah blah, and offered her 3,000 units for it. But then there was this real little immersive experience where we kind of like interacted with Yondu, and he noticed my Ravager patch, and he kind of done all the stuff, and it was just really cool. that was one of my favorite bits, I'm not gonna lie, actually being able to interact with Yondu in that way. And on that note, the guys and girls that play the characters from the movie were really good, really good. Like, they had the accents to a T, they had the costumes to a T. I think Drax, Yondu and Gamora looked like they were off the screen. Like, they really did look the same. Like Star-Lord, Kraglin, the Collector, they looked like them, and after a while they kind of became them, but they weren't them, if that makes sense. So I think that Yondu, Gamora and Drax were definitely at a different level for me anyway. Drax, for example, sounded, looked, acted, everything like to a T. He was really good, and the same for Yondu. So it was really weird for me because it felt like I was interacting with Yondu in the film. So yeah, so then we carry on with the immersive experiences. There's an opportunity to get food, drink and all that kind of stuff, and there's kind of a show going on at the time, and then they make sure that everyone's in the same place at the same time, and then there's this big finale, and I'm not going to tell you what happens exactly, but the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector, Yondu, they're all involved. It's this great big finale. Groot and Rocket come out as well, and it's just really cool, and it kind of like ends in this big finale, and then they funnel you through, you go through, you watch the film, and yeah, the film is on. There's a bit of a light show, but there's no more interaction with the actors. It is literally just you watching the film on a really big scale. There was 2 screens to give you an idea of how much of a big scale it was. But the sound, the light and everything was fantastic, and the audience kind of cheering. It made the film really enjoyable. And I must admit, I know there was an after credit scene, but I didn't hang around for that because I did want to get out and get some photos and videos of the actual scenery. So my tips and kind of recommendations for the experience would be, make sure you interact with everybody. It doesn't feel like there's enough time to do the interactive bit. Like, it was about 2 hours, but I could have easily spent another 2 hours in there because there was queues to do things because there were so many people there on this particular night. And it was like, okay, I'm not going to queue there and speak to that person because I want to go and speak to that person. Go and find the Collector. Go and speak to your clan leader about the Collector. If you are a premium ticket holder, there is an extra mission, and we interacted with the guys who were running that extra mission at the beginning, but that kind of fell by the wayside because there was other things that we wanted to do. So we wanted to make sure we interacted with certain characters, and we wanted to make sure we get into the Collector's secret room, because the Collector has his secret room and he does trades in there as well. So if you speak to your clan leader or speak to basically anyone about seeing the Collector, you can kind of talk your way into this secret room, which is really cool. But there are loads of other little things as well, like you can get arrested by Nova Corp, you can go and find like a secret dance party room. So if you interact with people and you're asking about these things, asking what areas to find, where can you go, all that kind of stuff, they will point you in the right direction. It's just about jumping in and immersing yourself. If you're going along to this and you don't want to interact and you don't want to kind of jump into the immersive element so much, then it's not too bad. There's lots going on. There's people, like, there's things happening around you all the time, and there's enough places to eat and drink. So you can enjoy the event without jumping in and being like interactive. But personally, I think you get the most from being interactive. Dressing up and getting in costume, I would say, is a must. This t-shirt was my t-shirt of choice that I wore, and I made like a whole custom jacket to represent the Flaming Riders. This t-shirt, by the way, I got from TeePublic, and I'll put a link in the description. I will do a full video on my costume because quite a lot of people there asked me about my jacket, for example, because I kind of custom made it. So I will do another video on my costume at a later date. But yeah, TeePublic for this particular t-shirt. And I've got to say a huge thank you to Zavvi UK because they sent me the limited edition Ravager pin, the like Yondu's Ravager pin, the Infinity Saga one. And again, I'll put a link to that in the description below. If you use the discount code Jacob's Toys, you get a percentage off as well. So that's really cool. But costume wise, I would say jump in and put a huge amount of effort into your costume. Believe me, no matter how much effort you put into your costume, there will always be somebody that puts that extra level. There were some people that had flashing helmets, that had backpacks with things coming out of it. Like there was fully body painted people. It was really cool. Interact with everybody. Make sure that you dress up, and don't waste time eating, drinking, and going to the loo if you don't have to. I would say the eating and drinking is great, but do that at the right time. You can get food and drink during the movie, for example. If you're a premium ticket holder, you can get table service. If you're not, there is a bar that serves pretty much all the same foods and stuff anyway. We left our eating and drinking really until we were watching the film, and that would definitely be my recommendation for anyone else, because you don't want to waste time in a queue getting food when you could be queuing to speak to the haggler or to Yondu or to the collector, for example. Make sure you bring some money. Now, it is all contactless, so make sure that you bring a card with you. If you're like an Apple Pay person that uses it on your phone, make sure you've got your card with you as well, because as far as I'm aware, there was no cash handed over. It was all contactless, so make sure you have that. And drink and food prices are quite steep. You're looking at about 11 quid for a hot dog, and the drinks again are quite up on the high end, but this is kind of London prices, so expect to pay quite a lot for drink and food. But I don't think anyone's really going there to get absolutely wasted or to have a full 3-course meal. But definitely make sure that you have a contactless card so that you can get refreshments as and when you need them. But my main hint is to just interact. Make sure you're interacting with everybody, jumping in, and do take things to trade. Take some things to trade, and it is not about how expensive the thing is, but instead about the backstory that comes with it. If you can talk the talk about your thing, you're going to get more units. I saw people that were really elaborate kind of things not getting many units for it because they were just kind of putting them there and expecting high units for it, where you got other people that had some really rubbish things but they were talking the talk and getting high units for it. And the actors there really want you to engage as well. If you're engaging fully, then you're going to do all right. But yeah, dress up, engage, make sure you've got contactless, and just fully jump in. So the last thing that I suppose I'll talk about in this is photograph opportunities. There is a kind of a gathering of a clan's sort of spray paint art, and there's all the clan walls as well, so you can get your picture with the clan logos, and they are accessible afterwards. So once you get your phone back and you've left the experience, you can get all of your photos. So you do walk past that on the way in, but don't stress, don't try to get too many photos there at the beginning, because all of that is lit up and open afterwards. The other really cool thing as well is you can go back into Contraxia. So after you've come out of the movie, the shops, the bars and stuff do stay open for a little while, and they do allow you to have your phone on you in there to get some cool pictures with the backdrops. Now, we did a little bit of filming and got a couple of photos as well, but we didn't spend a huge amount of time. If I was to go back, I would definitely spend more time in there afterwards, just kind of taking pictures besides everything, if you like. One thing I will say is on the website, they talk to you about your clan anthem and your clan, your like dance, if you like. Now, these aren't hugely necessary. If you haven't learnt them, don't lose any sleep. Don't waste any time kind of learning them. They are involved in the show and in the experience, but there's not a huge demand for it. You don't have to have it. If you don't know it, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to miss out. If you do know it, then that's great. But it's involved in the show. But yeah, don't worry too much about learning it if you haven't got time to, because it doesn't make a huge difference to your experience. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a fantastic experience and well worth the visit. Was it worth the money per ticket? Personally, I think it is. I think it's definitely worth attending if you can get there. There is so much going on in such a short space of time that the immersive experience is definitely worth seeing. My hint would be, if you've seen the film and the full experience or the immersive experience, if you could only afford to do kind of the immersive, don't worry about it too much, because there's not anything that you miss out on by seeing the film. The film for this particular Secret Cinema was just the film with some extra lights and sounds and stuff. And I think that's all that let it down for me, is I would have liked to have seen a bit of kind of interaction from the actors in the film, because previously when I've gone to see Secret Cinema, they've kind of been acting out in front of you, which is really cool. But in this particular setting, it wouldn't have worked because it was very much a cinema setup. But with that said, if you can only afford to go to the immersive experience, then it is definitely worth going. Going and watching the film afterwards was just made all that more better, because we saw locations that we had previously just been in the film, and it just made watching that film really exciting. And even though I've seen the film quite a few times, there was a few things that I noticed in the film that I haven't noticed previously when I watched it. So yeah, it was good. Overall, I would definitely give this like a solid 9.5 out of 10 as an experience, as a Secret Cinema setup. I know some people have been kind of disappointed with it. I know some people have been like really impressed with it. But yeah, overall, I would give it about a 9.5. The only thing that would have pushed it to a full 10 out of 10 would have been something extra when we were watching the film. But the amount of detail and the amount of stuff going on, it felt like there was things going on in every direction we moved. Every direction you looked, there was something going on. There was somebody interacting with somebody else. There was never anybody just kind of standing around doing nothing. There was always something going on and someone to interact with. And we went on a really busy night as well. So yeah, it was a fantastic event. Fully recommend you going along. I've got to say a huge thank you to Secret Cinema again for sending me along to watch. And I will do a couple more videos. I'll do a costume video, and I might do another kind of hints and tips, and definitely worth attending. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and all the rest of it in the comments below. Have you attended? What was your experience like? Please let me know in the comments. Are you thinking of attending? And have you got any questions? Again, please put them in the comments below. And as always, please do like, share, subscribe, and all of those things. And to answer that question, did my clan win on the night? No, they didn't. They came like second. A little bit disappointed. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jacob, aka Jacob's Toys. Secret Cinema, Guardians of the Galaxy, Gathering of the Clans. It ends very soon, so make sure you jump on Secret Cinema's website and get those tickets now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you soon.